Morning, everybody. Just want to welcome you to day 2 of the boot camp. And we're going to start off with a CEU this morning, presented by Dunn Edwards with Stephanie Eagle and Kim Hampton. Thanks so much.
Good morning. Can you give me screen share abilities?
You should be able to share now.
There we go. Perfect. Thinking. There we go. Thank you guys for having us today. I am Stephanie Eagle, your Dunn Edwards Designer Services for here in Orange County. And today I have with me Kim Hampton, our Architectural Services rep in Orange County as well. We work together to provide color tools and product specifications for any projects you may have. And today we will be presenting our CEU on paints, problems, causes, and solutions. This is a credited presentation, so I'm sure you are here for your CEU credits. We will be actually registering your credits for you or sending you a certification upon completion of the presentation today. We will need to have your full name for your certification, and that will probably be emailed the most easiest way. Today we will cover common paint characteristics, applications, and the 4 basic components of paint, proper service prep, and causes and solutions for paint problems. So types of architectural paints. What is paint? The technical definition is that paint is a fluid suspension of pigment combined with film-forming resin, which is the binder, that is converted to a solid form when a thin layer is applied to a surface. In layman's terms, paint is liquid. In order to be applied to the surface, it must be a liquid form. And when it dries, it leaves behind the color and the sheen. The main purpose of paint is to protect the surface that it is being applied to. Most people, however, are simply using paint to beautify their surroundings. So waterborne acrylic architectural coatings. Water reducible products are shown here, which are the latex resins, cover a variety of products, 100% acrylic, 100% self-cross-linking acrylics, PVA, VAE, styrene acrylic, and vinyl versatate. There are multiple options for water-based, and oil-based, we have 2 main components. Oil-based, which is alkyd, or silicone modified alkyd resins. What is an alkyd? It is a group of synthetic polyester resins derived from various alcohols and acids used in varnishes, paints, and adhesives. A 2K or 2-component paint. One example is an epoxy paint or 2-part epoxy that requires a hardener in order for it to dry. You close the door. The waterborne latex versus solvent-borne oil coatings. Here is a list of the advantages of waterborne coatings. They have lower VOCs, so the environmental reasoning for them is greatly appreciated. They have low odor, quick dry times, excellent durability, lower or no risk of fire, so there's no flammable solvents, easier and safer cleanup, less hazardous disposal, and proven performance. Waterborne latex versus solvent-borne oil coating. So vehicle and binder between the two, alkyd is oil, latex is water-based. The dry time, solvents evaporates, just depends on the product for dry times. Curing time, after the drying process, the paint continues to dry. So an oil-based paint will dry to touch within usually 4 to 8 hours and cure fully within 10 days. A latex paint will typically dry within 2 to 4 hours and fully cure within 30 days. Cleanup, oil-based paints, you need to use mineral spirits or turpentine. Acrylic paints usually clean up with soap and warm water. And yellowing usually occurs more with an oil paint. and also becomes brittle over time. And a latex paint is more flexible and has non-yellowing properties. And some more about the differences. With durability, oil-based paints are typically a harder finish, usually to use around trim, window moldings, doors, jambs, and cabinets. Application for oil-based paints requires less surface preparation due to its ability to stick a little easier. Odor, oil-based paints give headaches, can give eye and skin irritation, and latex are good for sensitive groups and indoor air. Disposal of both can be recycled. The instructions are typically on their labels. Oil-based paints do have flammable solvents and can be hazardous.
Now we move on to the components of paint. What is in the can? Components of paint include the pigments, binder, additives, and the liquid, which are the solvents. Pigments, the purpose of pigments is color, opacity, which is the hiding properties, prolongs the life of the paint film, and the two principal types of pigments are prime pigments, which are white and colored, and reinforcing pigments. White pigments, which include titanium dioxide. This provides whiteness, opacity, and brightness. Zinc oxide, which we all know what zinc oxide is, we use it on our noses to prevent sunburn, is included in primers and exterior paints. It has the property of being mildew resistant and corrosion resistant, and it's also stain blocking. So prime pigments contribute to both wet and dry hide in paint. Titanium dioxide is the most commonly used and costly prime pigment, and contributes to whiteness, opacity, hide, and brightness. Zinc oxide is used primarily in primers and exterior paints. It's mildew resistant, like I mentioned, and can help prevent corrosion and block stains. So prime pigments that are colored include organic colorants, which are bright colors, Hansa yellow, phthalo blue, and they're carbon-based. Inorganic colorants are earthy colors like red oxide, yellow, ochre, umber, and exterior paints, used in exterior paints also. There are two types of colorants, and these are the ones that provide the actual color. Reinforcing pigments. And the benefits of reinforcing pigments is that they lower the cost of paint, they provide extra bulk, gloss control, dry hide, scrub resistance. And then one of the things you need to know about this is overuse of reinforcing pigments can actually cheapen the product and lead to early film failure. So while prime pigments, reinforcing pigments are also known as extender or filler pigments, and they can have benefits to a can of paint. They can lower the cost, like we said, add extra bulk, provide gloss control, and contribute to dry hide and scrub resistance. But you want to make sure that they're not being overused to cheapen the paint. Reinforcing pigments, we also have calcium carbonate in there. And the positives is that they're low cost, low chalking, mildew resistance, low binder demand. The negatives, however, would be they're low hide, can frost, which is a white salt-like substance that appears on the paint surface. They provide low whiteness, and they are relatively soft. Reinforcing pigments, silicone dioxide. So the positives here would be low cost, low chalk, high scrub resistance, and burnish resistance. The negatives would be they are low hide, they can be abrasive, and it's also a respiratory inhalant. So then we move on to binders, and in this we have resins. Resins, they bind the pigments and additives together. They provide adhesion of the paint to the substrate, and they are the key ingredient which gives paint its performance. So when we talk about resins, this is what we're talking about. So they provide resistance to UV light, moisture, chemicals, stains, fading, blocking, and chalking. So some of the most common types of resins would be latex, alkyd, alkyd emulsion, epoxy, and polyurethane. Then we move on to additives. There are many types of additives. Biocides, which prevent bacterial and fungal growth. Rheological aids, which are thickening agents. Dryers, surfactants, which prevent paint separation and disperses the pigments. Defoamers, glycols, which soften the resins, and that would include ethylene and propylene. Anti-skinning and dispersing agents. Then we move on to liquid solvents. So the function of these solvents are to control the viscosity. That improves the flow and leveling and wet edge, evaporates during the film drying process. And the types of solvents would be acetone, alcohol, mineral spirits, which are used in alkyds, and water, which would be latex. Then we get on to paint formation. So in these, we have the factors of resin, volume solid, colorant, PVC, which is pigment volume concentration. So some factors that go into paint formulation are these items, which I just mentioned, which measure of the volume of solid film forming ingredients in a pan of paint. Colorants and PVC, or pigment volume concentration, which is the fractional volume of pigment in the total volume solids content of the dry paint film. Coatings with a lower PVC ratio are better performing than coatings with a higher PVC ratio.
The wet film thickness, which is also known as WFT, is the thickness of the applied wet paint, and product data sheets may provide the optimal wet film thickness. Also, the dry film thickness, which is known as DFT, is the proportion of liquids to solid, of solids to liquid. A simple formula to remember when determining dry film thickness is DFT, which equals wet film thickness, WFT, times the percent of volume solids. The example in the illustration shows a wet film thickness of 3 mils, and the volume solids of the paint is 50%. Therefore, the DFT, which is the dry film thickness, is equal to 1.3 or 1.5 mils. Several factors can affect the thickness of a coating: overthinning, environmental conditions, application techniques, the substrate porosity, the surface profile of the substrate, and the quality of the paint itself. Which brings us to proper surface preparation. This is key in solving any paint problems. So preparation is key to determining the success of a paint job. Surfaces must be properly prepared. Dust, dirt, flaking paint, and holes can decrease the ability of a coating to adhere to the substrate. The use of a proper primer can help improve bonding of the paint surface. Preparing drywall requires cleaning the walls. A solution of 3 teaspoons of laundry detergent to 1 gallon of water can be used. Make sure all loose paint is scraped and small imperfections are sanded. Patch all holes and smooth cracks. Use 1 coat of primer and 2 coats of top coat when painting. And I don't know if you've tried the whole laundry detergent trend that's going through social media, but it works. My 2-year-old just colored on 3 of my walls yesterday. Lo and behold, it was red, purple, and blue, and it magically came off. So it actually is a pretty good detergent to clean with. And moving into wood, when painting wood, it is crucial to take precautions to prevent tannin bleed. Tannins are oils found in wood, like cedar and redwood, that are brought to the surface by moisture and can stain a new coating. It helps to make sure the wood has a proper dry time. Using a moisture meter designed for wood can also be used. A moisture content below 15% is ideal. Using a tannin-resistant primer can help prevent tannin bleed. The wood can also be cleaned with bleach or TSP or another cleaner specifically designed for wood. Make sure the base is sound, that any existing paint is not peeling or cracking. Sand the surface smooth to the grain, remove any dust, and apply the appropriate primer. And galvanization is a layer of zinc applied to the metal to preserve and provide sacrificial protection if the steel becomes exposed. Galvanized steel, when weathered for 6 months or longer, will be free from factory applied oils, processing compounds, and pretreatments. Clean it with the appropriate metal etch cleaner. Make sure to rinse with deionized water, which is very, very important, or blast with SSPC-SP16 surface prep specification. Prime using a high performance bonding primer specifically designed for galvanized steel. One thing to note is to do not use an alkyd primer because the alkyd will react to the zinc on the galvanized metal, causing saponification, which is a reaction that forms when water-soluble soaps interfere between the coating and the galvanizing. The new common types of plaster are browning plaster, which is applied in thin layers and used as a backing for skim coats. Bonding primer is similar to browning primer, used as a base coat, but sticks to masonry surfaces. Multi-finish is a top coat for either browning or bonding plaster. Board finish is used as the top coat for plaster board. And one coat is for small DIY projects. Plaster is not commonly used since introduction of drywall, but the following steps should be taken before painting plaster. Allow 1 week to 1 month for dry time. If not properly dried, adhesion can be affected. Look for a light uniform coat when determining whether or not the surface is dry. Apply a mist coat of a non-vinyl emulsion reduced 50% with water. A non-vinyl emulsion will allow the walls to dry if there are any moisture left in the plaster versus a vinyl emulsion, which will stop the walls from breathing, and any paint on the surface will be pushed out as the plaster continues to dry. Lightly sand, then vacuum dust, and clean with a damp cloth. Avoid taping the plaster when preparing to paint. Let dry at least 4 hours after cleaning the top coat. Paint deterioration. The 4 main causes of paint deterioration are UV light, moisture, freeze-thaw cycles, and free radicals, which damage the paint film. Free radicals are unchanged molecules having an unpaired valence electron. They're highly reactive and either form or break down chemical bonds in substances. In the case of points of durability on exposure, free radicals actually damage the film. As exposure persists, the free radicals continue to be produced and accelerate film deterioration. Another example of this is skin. Exposed to sunlight many years, it will begin to age, showing signs of wrinkling, sunspots, peeling, or drying. It's time to repaint when you notice a change in appearance. A loss of gloss or color of the paint begins to chalk. Simple paint problems and solutions. In this section, we will cover burnishing, flashing, yellowing, picture framing, and color rub-off. Burnishing refers to an area of the film surface that shows an increase in the gloss or sheen level. It is most noticeable when dark colors and in flat paint. Burnishing can be caused when you use the wrong sheen in a high traffic area, frequent washing or scrubbing on paints that are not scrub resistant, using abrasive cloths or cleaners of heavy objects rubbing against the walls. Heavy traffic areas require a durable and cleanable paint. A semi-gloss or gloss finish would be appropriate. Use soft cloths and mild cleaners recommended by the manufacturer. Avoid using dark colors that require frequent cleaning. Some solutions to burning are touching up the area, repainting corner to corner, and wait a minimum of 2 weeks after painting to allow the paint to cure before cleaning. Flashing appears as tiny spots or dull spots on a painted surface. Some causes include a porous surface, inadequate sealing, applying a paint at various thickness, fog strike of moisture while drying, extreme temperature variation while drying, and insufficient dry time between coats. Some solutions would include applying another coat of paint or using a primer over extremely porous surfaces before applying a top coat. Yellowing can be caused by natural oxidation in oil paints and varnishes, exposure to heat, and exposure to ammonia-based cleaners in oil-based paints. Lack of light, for example, behind wall art, appliances, and inside of closets. High quality latex paint does not tend to yellow. Picture framing is caused by cutting in with a brush while the rest of the wall is rolled. This leads to different film thicknesses. Sprayed areas can appear darker than areas applied with a brush or a roller. Adding colorant to non-tintable paint or using the wrong colorant level or type of colorant can also be the cause of picture framing. Some solutions are to make sure that you apply the paint evenly, using the correct paint base and colorant combinations, and repainting corner to corner. And lastly, some causes of color rub-off are abrasion, damp conditions, dark colors and flat sheens, which are more sensitive to water because of the more colorant, cold temperatures, or harsh cleaning products. Some solutions include waiting a minimum of 2 hours between coats, applying 2 thin coats rather than 1 heavy coat, using higher sheen in higher traffic areas, wait 2 weeks before cleaning, use a damp cellulose sponge to prevent excess abrasion, use mild cleaners like diluted dishwashing liquid, and gently rub the surface in a circular motion when cleaning. I will pass it to you.
Now we move on to moderate paint problems and solutions. So with moderate paint problems and solutions, we're going to cover alligatoring, cracking, blocking, and efflorescence. Alligatoring, say that 10 times fast, looks just like the name or the skin of an alligator. And the causes include the top coat not bonding to a hard glossy coat, an oil-based top coat not bonding to a flexible latex coat, expansion and contraction due to extreme temperature changes, insufficient dry time between coats, or too heavy of a paint coat. Some solutions are to remove the loose paint, remove the surface with primer, smooth the surface with primer, and apply 2 top coats of a high quality 100% acrylic paint. You could also scrape, sand, chemical strip, or use heat to strip the old finish completely off. We move to cracking. Cracking of the paint film can become progressively worse once it starts and could be caused by over-thinning the paint, spreading it too thin, poor surface preparation, drying too fast, or too many layers of paint, which causes excessive film build, which cause the bottom layers to lose flexibility. Then the paint cannot expand and contract with temperature or humidity changes. To resolve the issue of cracking, it is best to remove the coatings down to the bare substrate, then prime and apply 2 top coats of high quality paint. Next, we move on to blocking. Blocking occurs when 2 painted surfaces stick together when pressed against each other. For example, when you close a door onto the door jamb, or even wooden windows that would slide shut. So then when you remove the door, you're going to pull some paint off with the door when you open it. So the possible causes include pressing freshly painted surfaces together before being fully dried, slow drying oil, applying a second coat before the first coat is dry, applying the paint too thickly, or using a low quality latex semi-gloss or gloss paint with poor block resistance. Humidity can also contribute to blocking. The solutions would include making sure to properly adjust doors and windows, scrape, sand, and remove loose paint, clean off the dust and dirt, use a high quality primer to apply a high quality semi-gloss or gloss top coat. Most blocking problems occur around doors, windows, cabinets, and drawers. Efflorescence. In mild cases, efflorescence can be removed by dry brushing with a soft nylon or bristle brush. However, if the salt deposits continue to redevelop, corrective measures may be necessary in order to resist the reoccurrence of efflorescence. White fuzzy deposits, soluble salts that form on concrete, brick, block, stucco, mortar, or other masonry surfaces when exposed to moisture. In most cases, the salt deposits migrate to the painted surface through cracks that have developed in the masonry substrate. In addition to creating an unattractive appearance, deposits can grow and will cause adhesion problems if not properly prepared before repainting.
Okay. And the last section of paint problems are the complex paint problems and solutions. Here we will talk about wrinkling, tannin staining, alkali burn, and blistering. Wrinkling is caused from painting during hot weather due to the top film drying faster than the bottom film. Also from painting in high humidity or where moisture is trapped where applying thick oil-based paint, a hard finish over a softer finish without priming, and painting over a glossy surface without sanding. The solution is to completely strip all coatings, wrinkle layers, and/or chemically remove hard underlying layers. It is recommended to sand and remove the surface or smooth the surface, remove dust, and then apply a high quality top coat or a high quality primer and then 2 coats of the top coat. Tannin staining is caused from unprepared tannin rich woods. For example, redwood or cedar, not being primed with a tannin resistant primer, green wood, which is high moisture wood, and excess humidity. A solution is to locate the correct moisture sources. Remove loose paint with a scraper or wire brush. Stains can be removed with oxalic acid, rinse with a pressure washer, and allow to dry for a minimum of 48 hours, weather conditionings permitting. Then prime the stained area with a top quality stain blocking wood primer, 2 coats primer in severe stains, and then 2 coats of a high quality paint. Alkali burn. Alkali burn are typically caused on painting concrete, stucco, cement siding before they're fully cured. It is commonly seen from oil-based and vinyl acrylic paint, organic alkali-sensitive colorants, not testing pH of the surface before painting. The easiest solution to avoid alkali burn is to let the surface properly cure for 30 days before applying a coating. The lime deposits can be periodically rinsed, recommend priming with an alkali-resistant primer, or using a high 100% acrylic paint, as well as avoid selecting alkali-sensitive colors. If alkali burn occurs, then scrape all affected areas, remove all lime deposits, prime with a high-quality alkali-resistant primer, and then a top coat of high-quality water-based finish. And lastly, we have blistering, which can be caused by painting in direct sunlight or on a hot surface, alkyd or a damp wet surface, fresh paint exposed to dew, humidity or rain, moisture mitigated from interior or exterior of the building, leaving the moisture trapped behind the exterior paint film. Solutions for blistering caused by heat or moisture or to break open the blisters. The newest coat being blistered by heat, then scrape, sand, pressure wash the underlying coats, repaint with a high quality paint. If the bare substrate is exposed due to moisture, then mitigate water intrusion, caulking and improve ventilation, scrape and sand to the bare surface, prime bare areas with a high quality primer, and top with 2 coats of a high quality paint. These are the references from the research for the CEU. And we just wanted to thank you for your time today. We appreciate you joining us here. My contact information again is on this slide, and it will be a part of your swag bags at the event at Perch tomorrow night. as well as a brochure about the paint problems and solutions, which will look a little like this, and have a little more information in the packet on our products and the different services that I can help provide. But we're happy to answer any questions if you have any. We just appreciate your guys' attendance and being here with us.
Thank you so much, Stephanie and Kim.
Thank you.
This was great. I took lots of notes.
This one's a good one. It's really interesting to see these things happen in real life.
Yeah.
Especially burnishing. That I think is a really common one in homes. I have a nice bright blue wall in my house and 2 kids, and we have plenty of milk thrown at that wall for some reason. So you see those spots, and I mean, it's painted with an eggshell, so I try to wipe off as much as possible, but you know, only so much goes so far. So a higher finish, you're giving more durability to that surface, which is important.
And I might add, you know, Stephanie and I are here to help you with any specifications that you need to do. Say you have a repaint and you have presented with some of these issues, and you want to make sure that you specify the right primers and the right products to prevent these things from happening going forward. Feel free to contact whoever is your rep, and we're happy to help you. So, because basically, you know, you can paint with the best paint in the world, but if there's an underlying problem or you haven't prepared the substrate properly, your paint's going to fail. And not only does it make us look bad, it makes you look bad as the designer, and we want to help you prevent that. So please feel free to reach out. Stephanie's contact information is on the screen here. And we're very responsive. We're happy to supply you with whatever tools you need, whether it be brochures, color tools, libraries, new Fandex, and also bring you up to date on the newest, latest, and greatest that we have with Dunn Editors. And I'll throw a little teaser out there at you. We do have a new luxury coating that is scrubbable, washable, and it is a matte finish. And you can use it in bathrooms and kitchens as well as long as they are properly ventilated. So to finally be able to use a matte finish in a bathroom is amazing.
Yes, it is.
I'm excited. I just specified that on a project.
Yeah, it's a really good product. We get to use a gallon of it in our own home. Mm-hmm. So now that I saw how well my entryway held up to my 2-year-old crayon, I'm not quite sure where to paint. So
it's called Exquisite, by the way. I did forget to mention that. Exquisite. And it is exquisite. Comes in all of our colors. So please feel free to let us know if you'd like to specify it, and then we'll help you with that.
Fantastic. Do you see the question from Sonia, Stephanie?
Yes. Can you compare your Alkyd paints with Benjamin or Sherwin? Not to throw negative light, but can you give us the pros and cons of yours compared to a different manufacturer?
Well, Alkyd, first of all, is being phased out. I mean, you can't get Alkyd really anymore. So it's really acrylic paints that you want to compare. And yes, there are differences between everybody's paint. And one good way to compare those is to look at the product data sheets. Ours are online. We're very transparent. And compare the resins, the quantity of resins, and the pigments, as well as the other additives to see what's in there. And we're happy to help you make those comparisons. And that's how you can compare which is a better paint or not. Resins play a big role in the quality of paint. So the higher the number of the resin, chances are it's going to be a better quality paint. But of course, along with that, price will, our lights keep going out, we're not moving it. Of course, with that, you know, price is going to be reflected in that, you know, so you're going to have different types of paint for different types of project. You're not going to use an ultra premium product on, say, a parking garage. You're going to use maybe a professional level on a parking garage. So you do want to compare apples to apples when you are selecting paint. Same with if you're doing, say, a condominium development on the exteriors, you're probably going to want to use one of our premium or ultra premium. A lot of times we use Sparta Shield. If you're doing a high-end luxury home, you're going to want to look at our ultra premium products for sure, because that's what the expected value is going to be of that client. So it's not just what what kind of paint it is and comparing it to another manufacturer. It's what the use of the paint is, what the expectancy of the use of the paint is, and what does that client want? And then there's always the other part too is budget. We can't ignore budgets. So we want to help you find the best paint for your budget for the project. So there's a lot to factor in.
Yeah, selecting product is definitely one of those, you know, a little more in-depth, you know, situations. Obviously, every company has a great product at some degree, but like Kim said, selecting product and comparing them to what the project needs are key, because you will see a lot of specs out there where someone's comparing something that's up here to something down here and saying they don't match. Well, apples to apples or oranges to apples. But we do have another question from Paul that says, does Dunn Edwards have a hybrid water and oil paint? And yes, we actually do have a product called Arista Shield. It is a hybrid product. It is water-based cleanup abilities. It applies like a water-based, but it does have that harder finish like an oil-based paint. It is our, so to say, emulsion of a product that can be used interior and exterior.
Specifically great on wood and metal.
Yes, a lot of wrought iron, trims, mullions. We do also have an anodized bronze color line with that. We have 8 of our own Dunn Edwards specific anodized bronze colors that can be formulated into the Arista Shield, and now our newer series, which is our Endura series, which is also an industrial product line. So it's a lot of information. Part of the swag that I had dropped off at Perch does have a product catalog guide in there that shows all of our paints and all of our primers at a glance with all of the main kind of, so to say, talking points of each. So if you're looking for something specific, that will also show a little more details on which you're looking for, whether it's a 0 VOC, or if you're looking for something specific to, tannin bleeding, and you want to make sure those are being covered. But great questions, guys. We will also be at the event at Perch, and my email is up here as well. So if you have any project questions, or you need us to come out and look at a project, we're also more than welcome to do that.
Can we round back to this one question that we were talking about earlier about the pros and cons of our paint in regards to our competitors? We're a regional company, so our paints are formulated for the extremes of weather that we get out here in the Pacific West. Whereas, we're not trying to hit and miss all the different types. We're really focused on our area. And so our paints are formulated and they're tested under the extremes of the desert and the snow and ice and the different kinds of weather that we get out here. So that would be one way. Also, we do use the best ingredients that we can. So, and we're also very transparent. So you can see what those numbers are compared to a lot of our competitors. We're also, our factory is like about 300 miles away. So if you're looking for lead points and things like that, our factory is Gold LEED certified. It's the only one in the world. And we're very careful about our footprint. We recycle. So there's a lot of benefits that you can get from using a regional company over a national company. So I hope that helps.
It's good to know. Any other questions?
And I see your question, Farah. I'm going to call you. I have a couple more questions for your surface. She's asking about interior shower or spa designs. If it is an actual inside of a shower cavity or like in a sauna or something, we do not recommend a architectural coating. We'd want to go more into an industrial coating.
And we have those.
Yeah, so that's a little different than, so to say, like just painting a wall. Anything that has high moisture or is going to be in direct contact with moisture, there's a whole realm of different questions to go through. But for a general bathroom area that, is like more of a luxury bathroom, you can definitely use the,
you can use Exquisite.
Oh my gosh, my mind is
Endura-Cat. We
in
have
the cat.
a pre-catalyzed epoxy, which comes in all of our colors. It is a semi-gloss finish, but it is highly moisture and chemical resistant. So you can get in there and clean well. It's great for hospitals, schools, cafeterias, kitchens, and it's residential as well as commercial use. It qualifies for Southern California Air Quality Management restrictions or regulations. And what's great about it being a pre-cat is that you don't have that open time that you do with a two-part cat epoxy. So touch-ups you can do, you don't have to worry about, oh, once I mix it together, I've got to use it up all, or throw it away. So you can actually go back in and touch up. It's great for, so you mentioned a shower area. It would be great for outside of the shower area, but not inside the shower itself. And we would have to go to a industrial product where it would be water resistance. And we do have sources for that Dunn Edwards carries, and we can help you with that on an individual basis.
Fantastic. Any other questions before we wrap this up?
If you think of anything after, please send me an email, give me a call. I'm here to help. My kids are going back to school here in 2 weeks, so I will no longer be holding calls with screaming children and resorting to texting. So it should be a little more easier to get out there and look at jobs and have any questions. You can also do a product specification for residential jobs as well as commercial jobs. That is something that I also do provide, as well as Kim does for her architectural clients. So if you ever have a job where you really want to secure the final results of the project, you want to make sure the product is being specified that you're requiring, and the finishes as well as the color, just let me know and we can work together and write an actual specification for that job. But if you ever have any questions, let us know. This last screen does show our color tools. Those are available to everyone. There's a travel version, which is that briefcase version, the full architectural library, which has the 5x8 color cards in it. This last year, we came out with 10 new high hide whites. So those are now available. So if you do not have those in your library, send me an email. I can deliver those to you, as well as an updated fan deck with the high hide whites in that as well. But if you have any questions or think of anything in the future, just let me know. We are here to help you. Again, thank you guys so much for participating today. I hope it was some kind of takeaway to enjoy. But thanks so much, and good to see you guys, and I can't wait to see everyone tomorrow night.
Right.
Great. Thank you so much. Super informative. Very, very good.
Thank you, guys.
All right, everybody. We'll speaker series will start at 1 o'clock today. We have another day of great speakers. And then, of course, like Stephanie and Kim said, another day tomorrow, and then our closing party at Perch. It's going to be really, really fun. Food, drinks, and another great interview conducted by Susan McFadden of California Homes Magazine, and we'll be featuring Molly Britt of Molly Britt Design. Okay, so we'll see you all at 1 o'clock. Thanks. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.